Well, hello, and thank you so much for joining me for another episode of the Friday Reporter podcast. Today's guest is, I think, one that everybody that listens to this show and really everybody that's been locked up for 3 years needs to hear. My great friend, Margo Lilly, is a DC Metro based personal stylist and also my dear, dear friend. And she's going to tell us how the rules have changed and what in the world it is we're supposed to be doing with ourselves these days. Margo, thanks for being with me.
Thank you so much for having me, Lisa.
How in the world does a girl get into this business? Tell me a little bit about your background.
Oh
Like,
my
how did it
God.
all get started?
Right. So I have been like thinking about this and then overthinking it and then realizing that I fell into it so naturally. So I'm one of seven girls. I loved playing dress up as a child and I always loved being the center of attention. So it was just like I would put on plays, I would put on all the costume jewelry and, prance around the house, jump up on the piano bench and sing and with my, pretend microphone. And so I always loved kind of being front and center and playing dress up. And then I started working retail from high school through college and after. And then when I got married, I became Margaret Lilly, and I knew that I had this vision of helping women just have fun with their wardrobing, with their dressing. So I started Lily's Closet back in 2006, and then I moved overseas to Jordan and Bulgaria, had kids in the process of all that right before moving overseas. And then when I came back, I decided to relaunch as Margo Lilly Stylist. And, I just, it, working with people and helping them to navigate their wardrobes, shopping their closets, finding the hidden gems. It brings me so much joy. And it's really, I consider myself a fashion enthusiast. I just love working with people and creating, fun looks in their closets.
Well,
So
and you're
that was
so good at it. I mean, full disclosure, I
really
have been a client because even right after I had kids myself, I was struggling to figure out like what my look was. So
right.
we were introduced through a fundraiser event, and you came and you in the tiniest closet I had in my 1940s house. We've expanded the closet since, of course,
Yeah,
but
it's
you came
gorgeous.
in and took all of my things out of my closet and left me with like six hangers. I'll never forget it. And in fact, it may be that's a small exaggeration, but it was like these
Yeah,
things are so cute, but they're retired. And you
right.
send them off into their merry way, whether they need to be
Yes,
recycled, because you're super good about that. Like what can be repurposed and sent
right.
away, what
For
needs to
sure.
go to be gone for good. But the other thing I love is that you also help people have fun with what they have, right? Figuring out ways to repurpose what's there. So that's the cool thing about the way
For
you've built
sure.
this business.
Yes. And I think that is the key to the whole thing is working with what you own, but then realizing maybe that there's some gaps in your closet. And so where I come in is going through and doing that edit and then creating this hopefully not too long of a shopping list of items to fill in the gaps and bring the entire wardrobe together. And very often the items are basics. They're just like the white tee, the button-down shirt, the great fitting pair of jeans, the blazer, because you
Great
may
white
have some,
sneaker, like things that you like naturally would be going out to buy anyway, but you help
yes,
identify what the best things are that match with what
the
you've got.
best
I love
things,
it.
where to go for it. And I realize, people are on a range of budgets. And so I definitely will gravitate accordingly, and pull from different sources and different price points.
And I've
So,
had people say to me, people that I've referred you out to, clients who are reimagining their vision and their own style, stepping into like a more executive role, trying to find out how to grow into that look
right.
comfortably in their own space. You're so good at saying like, who do you want to look like? What
Exactly.
icon sort of stands out to you as someone
Yeah.
that's your personal, whether it's your personal style or what you'd like your style to be?
Mhm.
Because people always say, "Oh, is she going to dress me in something that's uncomfortable or different or not me?" And I said, "No, actually, Margaret absolutely finds your own authentic look, which I dig so
Uh,
much about the way you look.
yes, absolutely. And, I used to send out a questionnaire prior to the edit. That is something that I need to reinstate, asking who is your fashion icon? And very often we will just talk about it naturally. And, you know, I definitely want people to be in their comfort zone, just being their best selves, um, and feeling great,
Yeah,
in what they have on, so that they don't feel like they're wearing someone else's wardrobe. They
that's a big
feel like
piece.
their best selves, like,
Yeah. And it's a
for
big
lack of
piece
a
of what
better.
when I, not to interrupt, but it's a big
Oh,
piece of the way we train when we talk about public speaking is to
mhm,
wear clothing that makes you like something that makes you feel terrific.
right.
Because there is something about putting on even if it's a dress you've worn a dozen times or a suit that you know probably is on its way out, if it makes you feel dynamite, put it on because it's going
Yeah.
to give you that much more confidence in front of the podium, in front of the audience. And it's just,
Absolutely.
yeah,
And if it's a ball skirt and with a fitted sweater, so be it. I mean, I really want women, and I know Washington in particular can be a very serious, atmosphere. I want women to play a little more with their silhouettes, with their fashion, but feel like they're in their own skin. So yeah, maybe it's with a bold color, up on stage. It's the fuchsia blazer, that pop, or it's a leather. God forbid anyone, make leather a daytime Washington look, but you could wear your double-breasted leather blazer with a adorable tweed skirt,
you see that in
mix.
Europe all the time.
You
I mean,
do. You
I
just you
mean, it's
mix
like
your
people are
texture.
having a a better, they're having more fun there than we
They're
are.
having more fun.
Yeah.
They're having more fun. And I think, you know, especially in the cities where the fashion is like rooted from Paris, New York, Milan, and then it trickles slowly down into DC. And you're like, it's gonna be okay, guys. Like we
Yeah,
can do this. Like, let's have fun. That's
I
just
know. I love
and like,
that.
yeah.
And I think too, as we talked to even before we got on the call today, so much of the way we look and the way we dress has changed because of the pandemic.
Yes.
Things have become more casual. Talk to me a little bit about trends now as we get into that. Like, what are people? Do we always have to wear a tie if we're a man? Do we always have to wear a skirt if we're a woman? Like, tell me a little bit about some of the trends you're starting to see emerging.
So I definitely think out of the pandemic came like the elevated sportswear look. So especially in menswear, I mean, not that this would work in on the hill, but like dressing up joggers sort
Hmm.
of became a thing. Now I would say, and then also to that point, the hybrid, like the hybrid shoe. So it's like the rubber soled leather shoe for a man. Women obviously are not wearing that, but um, I think more relaxed silhouettes in general have emerged from that. The oversized blazer, the wide leg trouser, and I do feel that the trouser in particular is becoming the new jogger. So like you're throwing on as a woman, you're throwing on or a man, but women in particular, the menswear dressing, you're putting on your trouser that's relaxed so you can move and breathe, but then you're throwing on like a cute sneaker, kick, tennis shoe, whatever you want to call it. You're throwing
Yeah.
on your cute kick with that. And perhaps it's black. It might not be the bright white that, has become so common. But we're playing with shapes more. You're not necessarily wearing that cigarette pant, that ankle length, very classic silhouette with your suit jacket and your flats.
Mm.
You're I think I really feel strongly that the suit is translating. Can I read? Can I read?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was going well. It was going well, and then it.
So you talk about the wide leg trouser, especially, and I love that. But how does that, for so long, we were suiting up. So tell me a
Yeah,
little bit about suiting for women,
separates.
especially. Yeah, separates, not the same. I've seen a lot of monochromatic though.
Yes, a lot of sets are a thing. I mean, that's the thing. It's like monochromatic dressing, but the separate, as in wearing that trouser with a t-shirt and blazer, or okay, are we on?
Yeah, we were.
Okay, oh, sorry.
Okay.
Wearing the trouser with a t-shirt, and perhaps it's like a leather jacket, a leather motorcycle jacket, or it's the trouser with the Chanel inspired shorter jacket that's so cute, but then you're like popping your collar underneath and perhaps allowing your blouse to go untucked, and that's like that relaxed nod to, the just casual dressing
Yeah,
that
we
came
prefer
out of
something that's more comfortable, but that
comfortable.
looks so more menswear style, but also
Yeah,
comfortable but professional.
comfortable but professional. And then the monochromatic dressing, absolutely. It's like the head to toe, all one color. Maybe it's just the neutrals, maybe it's the bold colors, maybe you're just gravitating to red, which is definitely the color of fall, in a little pop here and there. Maybe it's in the lip color or your belt, your shoe, your bag, if you don't want to do the head to toe red suit. But it is interesting to see that I think people are so tired of the leggings and joggers that we're leaning a little more back in the suiting direction, but the
Yeah,
suit has been reinvented in a more
sure.
relaxed way. Does
Sure.
that make sense?
Absolutely. And I love it because I think that I look back at those cigarette pants and well, I haven't stepped on the scale in a while. I don't think I gained weight over COVID because I was doing the best I could to keep my act together. But those pants don't fit the same way anymore. Like now that
Right.
you put them back on, it feels like someone else's clothing.
I agree
And the
100%.
same for the shoe. I think a lot of people, a lot of my friends have given up two things since COVID. They've given up the underwire bra, sorry boys, and they've given up the heel,
The
right?
heel.
So like now
Absolutely.
the shoes have changed too, especially for women.
The shoes have changed. I feel like we're seeing a lot more of a platform as opposed to allow for more comfort, but we're also seeing ballet flats, a Mary Jane, like so cute, feminine, almost a little, little girl like,
Mhm.
playful whimsy. And you're tossing those little flats or ballet flats with that Mary Jane strap, you're tossing that on perhaps with your suit. I mean, it is there's a sort of unexpected way of pairing things now that's considered chic,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and I think, I've always loved making things your own and not following that basic silhouette that everyone else is wearing. So I think people are embracing that more, like mixing things up and going for the flat with your suit as opposed to the stiletto that you can barely hobble around in. It's
Yeah.
like enough is enough.
Absolutely. No, a lot of friends have told
Yes,
me they've broken up with those two in general. And you're so right. As we think about the guys too, they're wearing that great shoe that has the rubber bottom but the leather top.
right.
How can the guys have fun though? I mean, they literally, I almost, as sometimes I envy them because they get up, they put on their uniform and they march out the door, whereas we have to sort of think about it a little bit more. But how do they have fun?
I will tell you that growing up with the seven girls, I was number six. And then we had the brother at the end who was like the forgotten one. Now I have two sons. Love you, Jimmy, my brother. But now I have two sons. And I am like so bored with their dressing because they don't want to doll up. They don't want to be sported out in crew cuts attire. And
Right.
they're getting too big also. But if, my husband's another story, and I try my best to encourage fun sort of silhouettes and different textures. I love a leather jacket for a
Mm.
guy, and I don't want them to be afraid of that. And again, mixing your textures. So, like a tweed sport coat, you know, the pant, I would say, for the man, in DC, this isn't going to work, but it's like the track pant has
Mhm.
definitely, become their new jogger, but
Yeah,
it's like it's the relaxed, super relaxed daytime into nighttime look. I mean, I'm seeing people now. This is not happening perhaps in DC, but
mm,
wearing the track pant, dressing up for a black tie wedding. I mean,
really. And
it's
this is
happening.
like a straight leg man's track
Yes,
pant.
yes.
Does it have stripes on the side?
It can, but it doesn't have to.
Okay.
Now, I like a little more of a subtle stripe, like a black on black or where you can see it, but it's not, excuse
Not
me, it
pronounced.
isn't, it's not like the Adidas,
Yeah,
the
that's and that because that's
stripe,
what I first thought of.
white stripe, black pant.
Okay.
But, I also just, I'm also seeing though the polar opposite of that, which is the more tailored, like five pocket, not just jeans, but like a chino or a stretch. What am I trying to say? Like a stretch twill pant
Okay. Yeah.
that's not a jean, but it's how a guy can translate his denim into day at the office in separates.
Yeah.
So as you can see, menswear is not where my heart is, but that doesn't
Yeah.
mean I won't work with men or I don't work with men. I
Sure.
just, I feel like hey, men can play with color too. Let's do it.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. And I feel like the ones that I'm seeing, and it's been so long that, it used to be that you would mix textures or you would mix patterns. So your tie would be paisley and your
Right.
shirt would be
Right.
like a big check, and that would be a great look. That's kind of
Right.
gone out or gone away, I think, a little bit. And we're
Yeah.
getting back to more classic styles. But it
So
seems
true.
to me too, when you look at men's and women's wear, it's a lot of like the great tweed. It's like the traditional styles, but it's just what you're saying is that the silhouette itself is actually adjusting.
Yeah, I think so. Thank you for
Yeah.
summarizing.
Yeah. That makes so
I
much sense.
left out, sorry to interrupt you. I left out the loafer is huge in the
Yeah.
shoes. Like both in men's and women's shoes, but particularly in women's wear. Excuse me, the loafer is like you have to have it in your life. Now, whether you choose that a more aggressive platform or lug sole, or you just go with like the less, in your face, just penny loafer
Classic
from
style.
the
Yeah.
80s. Yes, that is definitely like you need one in your life, and you're wearing it with your trouser. Like you are wearing it in that way of it's going to be super comfortable and you're going to rock it and add a little a little gold hardware. I mean, you're fine. We're seeing them. It isn't just the boring penny, right?
Right.
It's like there's a gold trim or a
Got some kind of other.
patent
Yeah.
shine.
Nice. Which is
So
great. My little 80s heart is so happy because I had
that's,
several pair of
yes.
penny loafers in
Oh
high
my God.
school. I
Yes.
know, I'm dating
We
myself
all
now, but it was a look.
We all need them. I'm looking at my notes here just to make sure I've not left out. No, I
How are
think
you
I covered
telling? Because there's other things to think about too. So you talk about clothing and silhouettes, amazing. I still think, sorry guys, I still think it's harder to be a woman to get dressed during the day.
Yeah.
Especially now, especially since COVID. I've had enough of my closet. The whole thing is exhausted to me and I want it all. I want to make it go to Goodwill and start over. Of course, I don't have a bank account that supports that plan. So
Yeah.
we'll have to think that through. But other things to think about that I'm curious about from you are trends with jewelry and trends with makeup. What kinds of things are you recommending to your clients in terms of at one point there was like a really bold necklace style and lots of bracelets, other things like
Mhm.
where are you guiding your clients in terms of jewelry? What kinds of jewelry should we be
So I feel
putting
like we
on?
shouldn't be afraid to mix things up, mix your metals, mix your pearls with perhaps a gold chain, but keep one of them, bolder than the other. So you don't want like a big heavy necklace necessarily. Now to each their own, have fun and feel comfortable. But I love the idea of the delicate pearl necklace with a gold chain, or, layered bracelets, but in, some delicate, a few delicate versions. And then maybe that just is with your watch.
Hmm.
Um, and as far as makeup, I mean, I personally always love the bold lip. I am not rocking that today, but I love that reddish coral, 1950s, 60s lip as my biggest accessory some days. Like when you're wearing a white tee or a oversized button down shirt and jeans, add the red lip, and that is like all you need. And
That's so good to hear. Yeah.
yeah, and
And it's
then
not something I'm terribly comfortable with, but I do think that the one thing I've told other people to check in is to definitely go to the makeup counter. Definitely ask them for some counsel about what
yes,
colors to that'll work for your skin
yes.
tone. Yeah.
And I love Bobbi Brown's new line, Jones Road,
Hmm.
because I feel like it has a ton of moisture to it. So I use they have this great miracle balm. I use that on my face, and you layer it, and it's just like,
I've got it and I
it's,
like it.
I
And
love it.
some people hate it.
Some
So
people
like
hate it.
it's just a matter of like what
It's
your own
true.
personal
But
preference is.
that's been great for me. And then I don't know, there's just, I love playing with makeup. So you have to, but I agree with going to your preferred makeup counter and getting advice, and then going from there, so that you
Mhm.
feel like yourself, not like, that you're wearing costume makeup, theater
Right.
makeup.
Well, because it won't feel right. You won't feel like yourself and
Right.
you won't be confident, which is what we're really going for here. Is we're going for confidence.
Right. Absolutely. So,
When you are preparing yourself for, I know because you do a lot of after your sessions with your clients, you will go back and you will check like where, and you'll make recommendations. You actually offer them a shopping list,
yes.
depending on, what the client's engagement level is, where you actually give them advice, places to go and shop and see. Are there sites? Are there resources? Are there places people can go? I'm not necessarily asking for your favorite place to shop, e
Right.
except there have been in the past, you've offered to me, like, there was a site once that you recommended that I have since used several times called Shop Style, where if
Yes.
you're looking for something, you can actually type in the search terms that you're looking for, and it'll give you a range. What
Yes.
kinds of
Yes.
resources do you use,
You
as you're
know,
offering ideas to
it's
people?
so funny, Lisa, is very often, because I spend many of my days scrolling. I am always, I am doing so much scrolling. It is probably not good for me. But I have started, and this sounds so basic, but I will Google the item, and then you do get a range of, and I remember when I used to recommend Shop Style, but nowadays I just feel like the search engine is Google. You find everything there, and then click and scroll accordingly. I find a lot of inspiration on, outside of the US as well. So like matches.com is a British retailer, and they have, I mean, it's luxury goods. They do have a range of price points, but I feel like the inspiration is endless with them. And so then I'll get my inspiration, and then I'll find it at more moderate, more affordable price points for clients, because not everyone wants to spend $2,000 on, a jacket.
A great, yeah, a great overcoat or whatever the case.
Right. Right.
Um, which I think is
Um,
fantastic. I love that you do that. You give the ranges, you give people a recommendation, obviously
yes.
you want to splurge. We see this all the time when we look in the magazines anyway. It's like the splurge or the save, right? And so like you can
Yes.
find just about anything. But I'm always curious where you source your information from. So that's great because Google is, as it is the search engine to that's got all the information. They
It
certainly do all
is.
the advertising and everything there. So
And then I've also been doing a little bit of pre-loved shopping, not necessarily, it depends on the client, because I do offer a sustainable package where we can shop Vestiaire or The Real Real, both just luxury consignment apps. and you can find an amazing array of, from vintage to, I mean, the item that's at Neiman Marcus right now, it's been worn twice, so I love the idea of, re reinventing someone else's piece as your own, and sort of the upcycle way of dressing.
Is good, which is I think what a lot of people are doing, and they're doing it too with circular fashion. So where they're
Mhm.
going to like a Rent the Runway, or there's dozens of them now, right?
Yes.
That's another resource that people can use to get
Oh, for
access to
sure.
higher price point items that they borrow and then send back.
Oh, yeah, and because it's fun to have a little taste of that without breaking your bank account, and, we all deserve to experience the high-end fashions of the world.
Absolutely.
And then
Absolutely.
vintage. I am a huge proponent of vintage shopping. So I love to go to DC, Big Flea. I don't know if people are familiar with that, but it happens, I think, quarterly at the Dulles Expo Center. And oh my gosh, the women, men, the people bringing in the vintage there are, I mean, it's just a treasure trove of
Gosh,
pieces.
I have to go. I'm dying to
Really
go. This is the
fun.
second time
But
you've told me about this. So,
we'll go together next time. It'd
okay,
be fun.
perfect. So, okay, before I let you go today, I want you to, I have two questions.
Okay.
First off, um, tell me so that my guests can, or not my, excuse me, my audience can get a sense of the kinds of levels of packages you do. You don't have to talk about price points. Obviously, they can find that on your website, which is margolillystylist.com. But you
Yes.
actually offer a beautiful range of services.
Yes.
Tell me just a little bit about that. And then I'm going to ask you who your style icon is.
For sure. Okay.
I'm
So,
giving you advance notice, so let it be
oh,
processing in the
let me
back
think
of your
about
mind.
it. Yes. So as far as my packages, I start with a package called the Mini, and basically I guess it's a 3-hour assessment. We go through your closet. I like to stick to 2 seasons at a time. So the current season, if for people who have a ton of clothing. So we'll do fall, winter, let's say right now. And we go through every item. We retire pieces. As we go, we come up with a shopping list of items you need to fill in the gaps. I will give some styling feedback on what to wear with certain pieces. Um, and then I follow up with your shopping list, and we'll include a couple of links there. There's also one that's just it's a step up from that, where we're going through every item, we are creating the list, but we're also creating looks and taking photos of the looks. So that is more of I would say like a 5-hour package.
Mhm.
And then I'm trying to think of what else. We can shop, we can pound the pavement together. I will do mood boards for people based on, like if someone has a conference coming up and they need ideas, I will put together a mood board either on Pinterest or just of links for people, and they can shop virtually just to save time.
I
I
love
am
it.
finding that there isn't as much in the stores as there was. And so the stores are slowly catching up, but there's so much more online.
Yeah.
Once we've taken your measurements, I can, pick out things accordingly, labels, brands that will work for your body type.
Yeah.
And then some people pay me monthly, and I can answer fashion questions, texts, the whole nine for the person that really has a more demanding
Sure.
job or
Whether
whatever.
it's
And they need
executive or
advice.
some elected official or someone that really needs some regular
Yes,
consulting. Yeah,
yes,
got it.
for sure.
That's amazing.
It's
Okay.
so
The
fun.
hardest
I
the
love it.
hardest it is so fun, and it's fun to do because you make it so fun. You make me not
Yeah.
feel bad about the fact that I'm still hanging on to some things that need to be
Oh
sent
my
away years
God.
ago.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
but
I try
also
to be gentle with people, and some people can handle more than others, like I consider myself a friendly, sweet, nice person. And so I'm going to go easy on you. But there are people who just want you to be like a little meaner
Yeah.
about about what needs to go. So
I think that that's so good. All
yeah.
right. Best question. Style icon. Who is it?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So this isn't necessarily, it's not an actual person in the world, but it is from a movie. Rene Rousseau from the Thomas Crown Affair is decked out in Celine head to toe. And I love French labels. Celine is my ultimate, and of course, way, way above my budget. But I love her look, and it doesn't. And if I could name someone that's a little more tangible for people, I honestly, can we pause on that? Because I
Mhm.
have to think about it.
Yeah.
Who
Let's
do
just
I?
leave it at that.
Yeah,
Just
who
leave it
do I
at let's just
love?
leave it at that. I'm gonna
I'm like Lisa. Who's my
I know. No, Renee Russo, that's perfect. So I'll edit this little section out.
Okay.
So let me 3, 2, 1. Okay, Margaret. Awesome recommendation. Now I have to go watch the Thomas Crown Affair because Celine has some of the most beautiful things. I just saw a woman with a bag today in the supermarket
Oh,
and I nearly tracked her down just to say like she looked like $1 million because
right.
it's like
Get your bag.
I
Yes.
couldn't afford it if I wanted it, but I did see it and it was like to die for.
Hey, go
Um,
on to Vestiaire. You might be surprised.
maybe, or that
Yeah.
winning lottery ticket.
Or the
Uh,
winning lottery ticket. Yeah.
All right, my friends and my audience, please, Margo Lilly stylist.com. She is a whiz. She is fantastic. She's also my favorite friend in the whole world, but she's
Thank you.
also helping men and women feel confident every single day, which is a big piece of what I coach when I talk about public speaking and even, being with the media. So feeling great about yourself, feeling confident and having just a great look that's authentic to you is what Margaret does for a living, which is why she is my dear friend and I'm so
Thank
grateful for your
you.
time today.
Thank you so much, Lisa. This was super fun.